Hello dear friends, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Friends, we are discussing about the urinary system. The previous lecture we discussed about the innervation of the urinary bladder. Now in this lecture I am going to discuss about the relations of urinary bladder. Let me write here relations of urinary bladder. First of all, we will draw the bladder, then we will see all the relations of the urinary bladder. Now look carefully. Let me draw here a diagram from the lateral aspects. For example, this is a person, right? He is standing. This is his back, right? These are his buttocks. This is lower parts. This is his abdomen, and then there is his pelvic cavity. Now we know that our urinary bladder is located here in the pelvic cavity, so we will draw the diagram of the urinary bladder in a very simplified way. For example, this is the urinary bladder, right? Like this. Okay, and then this is the urethra which arises from the neck of the bladder. For example, if this is the urinary bladder of the male, right? So we had said that urinary bladder has an apex. This is the apex, right? It has a base. This is the base, right? It has apex and base. This is the neck, right? This is the superior surface, superior right? And these are the two inferior lateral surfaces, right? So the relations of the urinary bladder, we will see what are the structure which are related to the superior surface, right? What are the structures which are related to the apex? What are the structure which are related to the base, right? And what are the structures which are related to the neck of the urinary bladder? So how many parts we will see? We will see the relations in the superior surface, the relations in the inferior lateral surfaces, relation of base, relations of the neck, and relations of the apex of the urinary bladder. So first of all, we will see the relations of the base of the urinary bladder, relations of its base. So friends, I will draw diagram for male and for female. There will be differences in the relations of the base of the urinary bladder in case of male and in case of female, because the different viscera of the pelvis of the female are different, and in case of male are different. So let me draw here a diagram, and from that diagram we will see all the relations very easily, right? So if this is a female, right, we just want to know about the relations of the urinary bladder. Look carefully. This is the urethra of this female, right? This is the urethra, and then here is her urinary bladder. So very easily, this is the urinary bladder of the female, right? And you know, here is the vagina of the female, right? So this is the vagina, right? Look carefully, we are drawing the diagram very carefully. And here is the uterus of the female. For example, this is the uterus, and here is the cervix of the vagina, right? And this is the inside of the uterus, like this. It's very good diagram. This is the vagina, right? This is the urethral orifice, this is vaginal orifice, and this is her external genitalia, right? Then we know that there is posteriorly, what is there? There is the rectum of the female, right? This is the rectum of the female. Now look carefully, we will try to color our diagram. This is urinary bladder, right? This is urethra. Then here is this is the uterus, right? And here is the vagina of the female. Okay, then here is the, what is this? This is the rectum, and that is the anus, right? So it's like this. Now look carefully. Here is the apex of the bladder. This is the apex, and this is the base of the bladder in case of female. Why I'm drawing this diagram in front of you? Because I want you guys to learn how to draw this diagram in a very easy way, and how to learn all the relations of the urinary bladder in case of male and in case of female, right? If I bring this diagram and keep it in front of you, you will not recognize that what are these structures. So that will be very frustrating for you guys. So what is this? This is the uterus, right? And here is the vagina of the female, right? This is the cervix, right? Cervix of the uterus. And what is this? This is the, you can also say the rectum, right? Rectum of the female. Okay, so let us see the relations of the urinary bladder, the base of the urinary bladder in case of female. Now look carefully. I will tell you very easily. Look, this is the base of the urinary bladder in case of female. Now what are the structures or posterior to it? That will be the relations of the base of the urinary bladder in case of female. So we will write it here. What are the structures in case of female? Very easily. First of all, there is the lower part of the uterus, right? There is uterus, we know. Then there is the cervix part of the uterus. There is cervix, right? From the diagram you can easily know this is the cervix, right? And what is next structure which is there in the posterior relations of the urinary bladder of female? There is vagina, upper parts of vagina. So these three structures, right, you can see these three structures are present posterior to urinary bladder in case of females, right? So these are the relations of the base of the urinary bladder in case of female, right? Then you can also say that the rectum is also there, right? So it is not important that if we write it or not, so but those important structures which are there, we have written them. The lower parts of the uterus is there, right? Because major part or body of the uterus is in relation of the superior relation, is located superiorly to the urinary bladder. That's why we will discuss it in the superior relations of the urinary bladder in case of female, right? Now in case of male, what are the structures which are in relation to the base of the urinary bladder? So again we will draw the body of a male here, right? Like this. Okay, now look carefully. There will be his urinary bladder. Look here, this is the urinary bladder of a male, right? Then this is the neck of the bladder, and you know this is the urethra, right? Okay, now this is the urinary bladder. Look carefully what structures we should know here. Here is the prostate gland, you know that this is prostate gland. The prostate gland comes in relation of the neck of the urinary bladder in case of male, right? Then what is there above the urinary bladder in case of male? This is your peritoneum, comes like this in superior relations, and then the peritoneum goes little bit behind, and then again it comes up, right? Like this, very easily. And then what is there behind the peritoneum? There is the lower part of the or last part of the large intestine, which we call as the rectum. So this is the rectum. I've drawn it here, right? So let us name all these structures, and let us make a diagram a little bit beautiful. Okay, then here is the peritoneum, right? And then here is your urinary bladder. From this diagram we will see many things, right? And this is the last part of your large intestine, which we call as the rectum. Okay, now look carefully. Here is a very important structure hanging there, right? And it should not be forgotten. A very important structure in case of males is hanging there. Now let us name all these structures. This is our urinary bladder, right? This is the prostate gland, right? Okay, what is this? This is prostate. Okay, what is this? This is peritoneum. Peritoneum, right? This is rectum, right? This pouch, right? This pouch like structure which is located behind the urinary bladder in relation of the base of the urinary bladder, this is called the rectovesical pouch. Recto, it means in front of the rectum, and vesicle means urinary bladder. So rectovesical pouch is there, right? You can see it very easily. And then there is another fascia is hanging there. This fascia, this is called fascia of Dennin-Valier. Fascia of Dennin-Valier. Very easily. Now from these structures you can recognize what are the important structures which are in relation of the base of the urinary bladder in case of males. So very easily let us write them. Now look carefully. In case of males there are additional structures also. I will draw the diagram of the urinary bladder of the male from behind. Now look carefully. This is the diagram of the urinary bladder of the male from posterior side, right? I mean this is the base of the urinary bladder of the male. Now what structures can you see here? First of all, there is a triangular area. First of all, in the base of the urinary bladder of the male there is a triangular area. Then we can see here are the seminal vesicles are there. What are there? Seminal vesicles are there. We will see these, right? And then they enter like this to the prostate, so we don't need to know them because we will see them in the relations of the apex of the neck of the urinary bladder of the male, right friends? And then from here there is the emergence of the vas deferens, right? I will draw it with this green color. So these are the vas deferences, right? This is the vasa deferentia, or we call it vas deferens. So these vas deferens will make their triangular area in case of relations of the base of the urinary bladder of the male, right? So these are vas deferens. Now let us recognize all these structures. What is this? Vas deferens, right? What is this? This is the seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicles. These structures are not present in case of female, right? What is this? This is triangular area. Triangular area, right? In this triangular area, you know, this rectovesical pouch and the fascia of Dennin-Valier are just here, right? Fascia of Dennin-Valier is just here, and here is what? Here is, with that red color I will draw. What is this? This is rectovesical pouch is there. Now you understand what I am drawing here, right friends? Now let us write all the relations of the urinary bladder of the male, the base of it. So we divide the base of the urinary bladder in case of male into two parts, the upper part and the lower part. So the relations of upper part of the, okay, let me write here upper part. In case of male it's a little bit complicated, so I will write here in case of male, right? Relations of the upper part of the base of urinary bladder in case of male. So what are the structures there? There is the rectum, right? Look here, this is the rectum, so it comes in relation of it. Rectum is there, and then what is there? There is the rectovesical pouch. Rectovesical pouch is there, right? Yes, we know that. Look, if we divide it like this, so the upper part of the base of the urinary bladder, this is rectovesical pouch is there, right? And then the relations of the lower part of base of urinary bladder in case of males, what is there? Very easily, there are seminal vesicles. So there are seminal vesicles are there, we know them. Look here, these are two seminal vesicles. So they are present in the lower part of the base of the urinary bladder. Then there is the lower parts of the vas deferens. Vas deferens, right? And we also say that the ampulla of vas deferens. Ampulla means this pouch area of the vas deferens, right? And then the next important thing, this is the fascia of Denonviller. So it comes in the lower part of the urinary bladder. So fascia of Denonviller, it is in relation of the lower part of the base of urinary bladder in case of male. So this was in case of female, right? In case of female, and this is the relations of the base of the urinary bladder of the male. So in this lecture we discussed about the relations of the base of the urinary bladder in case of male and in case of female. You can take picture of it for your notes. The next lecture will be about the relations of the urinary bladder of superior surface, inferior lateral, and the apex of the urinary bladder. So see you guys in that lecture. Till then, Allah Hafiz.